Welcome back. I've got a review for a classic slasher film from the heyday of the 1980s, early 1980s, 1981's Graduation Day. Just finished breaking into this 88 films release. This film was directed by Herb Fried, who before he got into directing horror films, he did two other films before this, including one with Linda George, Christopher George's wife, which she's better known for her screaming. You got to see it to believe it, but in Pieces, she's got this great scene where she's screaming "bastard" over and over and over. It's on YouTube. It's hilarious. Herb was a pastor at some point before he got into directing films. Now after this, he didn't do much in the way of horror, but he has had some screen credits right up into the 2000s. So kind of a smattering of director and writer credits and things like that. This film is a Tromo production, which I didn't know that originally. I just found that after researching the film that it's a Troma release or produced by Troma. It's probably one of the class when you think of a slasher film. I think this film has all the tropes of the classics that you would say, okay, if I want to watch a slasher film, I'm not real familiar with slasher films, I would think Graduation Day has to be right up there in terms of picking a film that exemplifies the early 80s slasher films. It's a lot of fun. It's cheesy. It's hilarious. I think the humor works, and I think the ending, which is a really the ending. I've seen this film numerous times, but even now, the ending is kind of a shocker. It just kind of jolts you. I thought it's very good. The only problem with the film is it's too long. It's about 10 minutes too long, and you really feel it towards the end. As much as I like the twist ending, they kind of drag it out, and I think that hurts the film. But overall, you can't ask for a more fun slasher film. It's just cheesy, gory. It's got all the normal tropes. It was made for like $250,000, and it grossed $23 million. And it also is one of the films that was confiscated in part of the Video Nasties Act in the UK, which is kind of silly. When you watch the film, it's really kind of silly to see how people got so hysterical over this film, or any other slasher film. But yeah, it was apparently part of a confiscation with the UK. It's got Leanna Quigley in here, and she bears her breasts. She's looking really good. Michael Pataki is in this as well as the kind of the school coach, not the coach, but he's the school principal. Christopher George plays the coach. Basically, the film is a setup of you've got a high school sprinting team. You know, it centers around high school athletics, and a girl dies when she's running track at the start of the film, and the killer is trying to seek revenge for the death of this girl. That's really the setup. A lot of fun. The first 20 minutes is great. Like I say, the last part of it drags, but even though it drags, the ending is worth. The payoff on the ending, I think, makes it worthwhile sitting through it. Now, let me do the Joe Bob Briggs, as is the Joe Bob Briggs totals, which I enjoy doing this part of it. We'll run down the totals and see if this thing hits my magical number 10 for a classic slasher film. Number 1, you've got a jogger who gets her throat slashed right at the start. That's the point. You get a really good sword through the neck. This girl's shaving her legs, and as her reward for shaving her legs, she gets a spear through the neck. Of course, the classic scene in this film that everybody talks about would be the flying football spear, which spears this high school football player in the stomach. You've got 2 sword decapitations, which, I mean, it looks ridiculous. The head's obviously a fake head. It's hilarious. Leanna Quigley, you get to see her tits, so that's a point. There are more tits in this. I think there's 3 different scenes where you get some tit shots. You get a pole vaulter who dies on a bed of spikes. You get one piano teacher dressed like a lounge lizard who looks like he just dropped out of Studio 51 from the 70s. I mean, and he's got a toupee. It's a horrible looking toupee. It's hilarious. And he thinks he's Billy Joel or something playing the piano. It's hilarious. You get in one. I took a point away for this, although this is the extended roller boogie music video sequence, which I timed it. It's well over 8 minutes. It overstays its welcome big time by the group Felony. And I don't like to speak too badly of the dead, but Jeffrey Scott, who I think was the lead singer of Felony, cannot sing at all. It has a charm. I mean, you've got these girls who were apparently paid $5 to roller boogie, skate around this where the guys are singing, the band is singing. It just goes on too long. I mean, 8 minutes. If it had probably been 4 minutes or 3 minutes, it probably would get a point, because it has an endearing charm to it, even though the song is dreadful and the singing is dreadful. This poor guy can't sing. I mean, I hate to speak ill of the dead, but yeah, I think Jeffrey Scott actually committed suicide in 1991, so that's unfortunate. But Felony, I think a Felony was a new wave band in the early 80s that was trying to hit it big. And I think they put out an album, but man, oh man, it's not good. Some of the notes he hits are not good. One killer dressed up in a fencing gear, so that gets a point. I give Michael Pataki a point because he was wearing these ridiculous 70s polyester pants. You just got to see it to believe it. It looks ridiculous. It's so dated. I give 1 point to Christopher George, who in this film plays George Michaels. Now I'm wondering whether they were trying to parlay the George Michael name from Wham UK, but I mean, I give him a point for that. And he plays this sour, always kind of an angry athletics coach. He's good in this. I give a point for the twist ending. I think the twist ending was excellent. One slow-mo gunshot to the stomach, I give that a point. So all in all, including the twist ending, I give a point to the twist ending. We're at 12, and I think 12 is, puts this in the category of a classic slasher film. I give this a 7 out of 10 overall, if you want to rate it that way. I think Drive-In Academy Award nomination for Christopher George and Michael Pataki with his polyester pants. I give them points. This was one of the films that Herb Fried apparently came up with the idea of a stopwatch. And the stopwatch, what he was trying to do was trying to figure out, well, how many kills at certain points of time in a film do we need to make this a slasher film. And I think he was the first one to come up with, we're going to use a stopwatch and like have a kill every 10 minutes kind of concept. And the stopwatch is a key signature, iconic signature in the film. Now, as far as the releases, I've got 2 copies of this film. There were originally, a few years ago, Vinegar Syndrome put out Graduation Day, and then just more recently, 88 Films put out Graduation Day. And so, in comparing the two, I think if you have the Vinegar Syndrome release, I don't think you need to even go here with the 88 Films release. The 88 Films release is a good print, looks good, but the Vinegar Syndrome release is outstanding as well. It's a 4K scan, sound quality is great. I think the film picture quality and sound quality is equally good on both releases. But the extras on this film on this release for Vinegar is hands down better than the '88 film's release. This has 2 audio commentaries, including a podcast with Hysteria Continues or Hysteria Lives group. It's got interviews with Herb Fried, interviews with the main actress in the film. So this has a lot more meat on the bones from an extras standpoint. This release has an interview with Justin Kurzweil, who was the author of Teenage Wasteland, and he also is the podcaster from Hysteria Lives. It's about 9 minutes, and that's really it. After that, you get a lot of Troma filler. I mean, you got Lloyd Kaufman doing an intro, and you've got this ridiculous 3-minute sequence of the Troma put together for cannibal lesbian hoedown. I mean, a lot of it is unrelated to the film. It's just a lot of Troma extras thrown on this thing, and that's it. So I would say hands down that this Vinegar Syndrome release is the way to go, and this is just this '88 release is just superfluous. I mean, the only reason I bought this is because I'm OCD and I'm trying to collect all the slasher classics line, but no doubt about it, this is the way to go. If you got this release, go with this. Okay, that'll do it for Graduation Day. I hope you enjoyed the review. Thanks for watching.